For the Griffin review, we were just talking about how some of the things we do disagree on are cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
But I think we disagree less than you might imagine, because I'm bearish only for like 10, maybe less than 10% of cryptocurrency applications.
Right. Okay. So then let's
In the
break this
whole,
down.
a lot of it is trash.
Okay. That we 100% agree on. So first off, I just want to throw this out there. I think NFTs are complete garbage. I think there is like a 0.5% of situations where NFTs make sense.
Fair.
And that's when they are a specific event or a specific piece of very important art that is important to have what is essentially put into code for.
Are you referring to NFTs only in the artistic form?
I'm only referring to NFTs in the artistic form, where it's like the knockout moment for Mike Tyson against another like heavyweight boxer.
Well, then we'll have to have a conversation about the application of NFTs in real estate.
And again,
Because those are still NFTs.
those make sense to me, but they're being used for a commercial aspect.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be some sort of weird fake currency. They make more sense because they are a minted moment in time.
Their value is not derived from the fact that it's a cryptocurrency or on the blockchain. That's a contributor to their value. Their value is determined by what's attached to that token, which is the deed to a title or something.
That's the part of the NFT that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The non-fungible token, when it is the deed to something else, when it's a precursor item, when it is itself, I think that is garbage.
Just by, look, it's an NFT, does not derive any value. But look,
No.
my house, the land my house is on, is attached to this NFT, and I can prove it. That's pretty valuable.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But the question is, what do you think is the purpose of crypto? What are your positive use cases for crypto?
Well, by its nature, right, it is distributed, which means that you can pretty much access it anywhere, anytime. It is permanent, right? And it's by nature, it is verifiably, the authenticity is verifiable.
Right.
And I think like if you're using applications in which you're deriving the authenticity of something as like its nature of authenticity as a component of the product, I mean, that's the best application for it. I'll share one vision which I have for my 3D printing company is to eventually have a system of tokenized designs.
Yep.
So that if I say I've created this set of blueprints for a 3D printed item, I'm going to tokenize it so I can, one, make sure it's verifiable that this was created by Grant Coulthop or Ampel or something. And also I can track the number of copies that exist. I can say I'm going to have exactly 10 copies of this token or exactly 1,000. And then I can see every single location where I've sent it to.
Right.
Very good for tracing intellectual property.
These are all, I think, I would agree with you, good purposes for crypto. When you're talking about tracking, when you're talking about wealth acquisition, I would disagree. When you're talking about wealth protection, I would agree a little bit more. And when you're talking about wealth transfer, I would agree the most.
Sure.
So I'll throw this out there. I really don't take much stock in Bitcoin as something you hold on to, because 20 years from now, it's going to be $500,000 a piece.
It's not an investment vehicle.
It's not an investment vehicle. I think it's an intermediary vehicle, but because dollars kind of provide the same purpose, I really only see it as an intermediary vehicle when dollars aren't usable.
Yeah.
So in the vast majority of cases, the vast majority of financial transactions, the dollar is basically used as a comparison currency. Everything is compared to USD.
Yeah.
That's just how that one plays out. Even Bitcoin is compared to USD, for crying out loud. That's the determining factor for its value, is that USD is the staple by which everything else is compared. So to me, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all of those types of currencies make sense for situations when you cannot use dollars, but you need to transfer currency between two bodies.
Yeah, and I want to take a step back of talking about, applications of cryptocurrency and realizing that talking about applications of blockchain technology, because cryptocurrency is an application of blockchain technology. And so we're not taking applications of cryptocurrency, but as a form of value exchange, like it truly is. I see the innate value, particularly in the future of civilization on this planet and off planet, of having something like Bitcoin that you can have a value exchange built onto a blockchain.
Right.
But there's just, there's so many fake scammy ones out there that you have to get through the weeds and find the correct applications.
My issue is I think that even related to the blockchain, that's more so going to be something that's usable by two specific bodies that I think are going to be interested in using cryptocurrency moving forward. I think the blockchain doesn't actually help the little guy. I think it's actually beneficial for governments, and I think it's beneficial for large multinational companies.
Helps you do better tracing.
That's the place that I'm really caught on crypto for its benefits, is that it's for information gathering for currency exchange. And in that regard, that's not something that's necessarily going to be applicable to Joe Schmo, who's just wants to, have some stable currency. The stable currency that he's looking for has been and will continue to be USD for the foreseeable future. Or gold or silver, what have you.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in, if people are actually interested in stable currency that's not going to disappear over time, there's a company called Sprott, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with them. They're a silver.
Sprott.
They're a physical silver company, which is essentially you can buy a note from Sprott, which is related to a certain quantity of silver in a vault, and at any point you could go to that vault and say, "Hi, I would like the silver that I purchased." And you can get that silver back to you. It's literally silver currency.
Didn't the U.S. government used to do that?
We used to do that, but we ran out of.
I've got one of those.
Oh yeah, it's the old notes.
I have a $10 silver certificate floating around in my safe somewhere. It doesn't say like U.S. federal note or some. It doesn't say tender reserve note at the top. It says U.S. silver certificate, meaning that it is from like the 1920s, meaning that in theory, I could go to like a branch of like a federal bank or something, hand them the silver certificate and get $10 worth of silver back.
Right.
From the government. But then I guess I ran out of silver and they started doing it as legal tender and not as silver certificates. I got to find this piece of paper.
That is the issue, is that what we ran into with the gold and silver standard is that there were more things of value in the world than could be put under the auspice of.
Here's how much minerals we have in exchange.
Exactly. We literally, like, there's just too many things that are of value that aren't gold and silver, and we needed currency to trade those, and that's how we got this weird currency situation with fiat money. And I'm not sitting here saying fiat money good, fiat money bad. That's not the position I'm making at all.
Fiat money is.
Fiat money is. And if you are looking for a more stable currency, choose something like Sprott, where your money is related to an actual physical quantity of something. That's if you really don't like fiat currency. It's okay. There are options that exist for you that aren't crypto.
Know who we need to have in on this conversation as a roundtable discussion is Eli. He's coming on the show later today because we talk a lot about the power coming in of real assets, or things that your money is tied to and not just having money.
And that's why I really feel like, and you guys have probably heard me say this before, what wins war? Blood and iron. Like, we can talk all day about how nice it is that there's countries out there with a large quantity of wealth, a big war chest, but at the end of the day, what's going to win wars, what's going to protect you from famine, what's going to continue your idea of mineral security and sovereignty moving forward, it's those real tangible assets that mean something. And for countries, that's usually blood and iron, the ability to wage war and the people to wage that war. But for you as a person, it's going to be gold, silver, real estate, whatever you need to maintain property.
Yeah, I think that war has changed, though. We could do a whole segment about, asymmetric warfare in the 21st century and how it's no longer waged by human beings.
We've talked about mosaic warfare before when we were talking about drones. And I think mosaic warfare and asymmetrical warfare, I think it's all interesting, but I think at the end of the day, there's still going to be a substantial number of human operators, and that's not going to go away.
If World War broke out again, the very first thing that would go down is wireless and communication networks. Somebody's going to take them out, and thus you have to rely on people again.
And in addition to all of that, the countries that have the capacity to wage asymmetric warfare are the countries that don't have an interest in getting involved in wars. So places like the United States and Turkey that are both incredibly good at asymmetric warfare don't really have an interest in beating up any of their neighbors. Like, what are we going to do? Go to war against the Canadians? Like, I don't really see the Mounties mounting much of an offensive
There's-
or us
there's-
attacking them.
There's just no reason to.
Exactly.
We're
That's the point.
friends.
So that, yes, the United States could wage asymmetric warfare, but why on earth would we want to?
Huh.
And so could the Turks. But who do the Turks want to bully in their neighborhood? Russia? No, thank you.
Greece, Syria.
Greece? Not really. Greece isn't worth anything at this point. Like, it's just, Greece is a useless chunk of territory in the Mediterranean. Changed my mind. But it's just, there's a lot of locations that could wage asymmetric warfare that have no viable reason to. The only place I could really see waging asymmetric warfare in the future is Japan, because they don't have a huge population and they are missing out on a lot of young people in their demographic pyramid.
Yeah.
And so for them, it makes sense to use a lot of drones potentially against a large East Asian nation with over 1 billion people in it. I could be referring to any nation at this point. There's
A
so many
couple of them.
options.
Well, with that, I think we're going to transition into the next segment of our show.